Two of the longest-running fictions in English are a wooden stage and a blue box. Both are structures designed to compress centuries of time and the vastness of space into a single hour. Across 60 years of television, Shakespeare functions as an engine for the show's mechanics, not just a historical backdrop. The stage provides a space where identity survives a costume change. It puts kings beside fools and ghosts beside soldiers, using a script to redefine reality. Words travel further than starships and outlive their authors. In Doctor Who, these words are a technology, and like any tool, they possess the capacity to heal a timeline or completely erase it. The show begins by claiming the author. It turns the centuries-old debate over who really wrote the plays into a science fiction punchline. The Doctor claims he wrote out the first draft of Hamlet because Shakespeare had sprained his wrist. This creates a bootstrap paradox in miniature. The Doctor casually remarks, "All the world's a stage," and Shakespeare decides to use it. The most famous metaphor for human life arrives from a future traveler. We see this eavesdropping in the show's earliest years, where the first Doctor uses a time-space visualizer to watch Queen Elizabeth commission a sequel to The Merry Wives of Windsor. The show even fills the historical gap of the Dark Lady sonnets by suggesting they were inspired by a time-traveling companion. It provides a science fiction answer to a 400-year-old literary mystery. But there is a friction to this intervention. Shakespeare's Richard III created an invented, hunchback villain so compelling that it successfully overwrote the historical record for centuries. By inheriting Shakespeare's vocabulary, the Doctor also inherits the propaganda and historical distortions baked into those words. Time travel does not passively observe the past, it contaminates it. It replaces the objective record with a more compelling fiction. Once the show claims the text, it uses Shakespeare's tragic structures as a mirror for the Doctor's own life, using these archetypes to articulate alien survival and grief. The Doctor often follows the shape of Hamlet, a grieving traveler returning from elsewhere, talking to ghosts and struggling to act. In his older iterations, he reflects King Lear, an old man exiled into a storm, accompanied by a companion acting as the fool. The show quotes the love stories less than the dawn speech from Romeo and Juliet. It is a speech about the necessity of leaving before morning, the specific tragedy of a traveler who is always almost gone. This culminates in the archetype of the Tempest. The Doctor is Prospero, the wizard on an island who eventually breaks his staff and renounces his magic during regeneration. Shakespeare's tragic vocabulary provides a diagnostic tool for the psychological weight of a Time Lord's existence. Language eventually moves beyond a way to describe the Doctor's feelings. It becomes an external tool where spoken words function as literal physics. With the Carrionites, Macbeth's weird sisters are recontextualized. They aren't dramatic inventions. They're an alien first contact encounter recorded as a play. The show uses the genuinely lost play Love's Labour's Won as a weapon. Within the story, its final lines are a portal opening incantation. By utilizing the absence of this historical text, the series creates a science fiction anomaly out of a literary gap. The show returns to the vocabulary of Macbeth whenever it needs horror. It uses the imagery of murdered sleep and blood that will not wash off to generate physical symptoms of dread. This marks a shift in the application of the technology. Words are no longer read or performed. They are physics equations spoken aloud to summon monsters. When language is weaponized in this way, the boundary between theatrical performance and an alien threat dissolves. The stage is now crowded with the artifacts of these paradoxes, tragedies, and weapons. The technology is successful. The Doctor has used this vocabulary to navigate the universe and survive its horrors. But that survival has a historical cost. The Dark Lady is still nameless. Richard III is still a caricature. Actual history is buried under the weight of the fiction. Using literature as a time machine means accepting the collateral damage. Every quotation is a preservation, but it is also an overwrite of the truth. The TARDIS is bigger on the inside. So is the stage. Every quotation is a deletion.